All right, I think we did it. I'm so glad everybody made it from the old Hangout over to the new Hangout. That is fantastic. Okay, so today is June 9th. Thank you all for coming to the meeting. I'm sorry if you guys intended to come to the design meeting. We had some technical difficulties there too. The video should be online soon if you want to watch that. The only major significant update is that we got designs for the new showcase section, and they look fantastic. So if you want to take a look at those, you can watch the meeting or check the issue queue or what have you. All right, so before we get started, a couple of our usual general announcements. If you would like a PHP Storm license and you're a member of the Backdrop Contrib group, send an email to info@backdropcms.org and we can send you one. If you would like a Dragon t-shirt or hoodie, you get one as a thank you gift for making a donation to Backdrop at backdropcms.org/contribute. We are running out of t-shirts in everybody's favorite sizes, so we're likely to make a new order pretty soon of larges and extra larges. We need $100 more of donations before we can place that order. So if anybody needs a hoodie, we only need 2 more hoodies before we can afford to order more t-shirts. So that's, you have birthdays coming up or anything else, definitely let us know. Jeff, we can definitely send you one. So let us know what size you want, all that good stuff. All right, if you are interested in using Calabox for local development, Calabox Beta is out now, and it has native Backdrop support. It also has Backdrop and Drush working together, so lots of fun stuff going on there. You can get that at calabox.io. And I don't think we have any updates from the PMC this week, unless any other PMC members have updates they'd like to make. No. All right, then I'd like to turn it over to Nate to talk about community growth.
Hey. Looks like I'm a talking head this meeting, but I can carry on. So, community growth. Another exciting week in the world of Contrib land. We've had 3 new modules, or 3 new projects, I guess I should say, added to GitHub, which is great. That brings our total up to 274 projects for Backdrop CMS. Of those, there are 185 of them that have official releases published on backdropcms.org. There's 1 new official release since last week. Of those projects, there's also 267 total releases on backdropcms.org, 2 new releases, 1 the new project and 1 update to an existing project published there on backdropcms.org. 53 total Backdrop Contrib authors. No new applications in the last week, although we are very actively reviewing those as they come in. So if you're interested in porting a project to Backdrop, we would love to have you as part of our Backdrop Contrib community, and you can join at github.com/backdrop-ops/contrib. And that's where we will be more than happy to help you through the process of porting a module to Backdrop and making sure that your coding standards are up to date and everything like that. We are super eager to have contributors, and we will give you top priority. Let's see, there's a new item in here in the community growth section that has been added. The number of organizations that support Backdrop that are listed under backdropcms.org/support/services. We just added this ability a couple weeks ago, and I think it's a great idea to include the people that say that they will build Backdrop websites for you if you're looking at using Backdrop for a project or checking to see if you already have a Backdrop site, who you can get help from. You can get help from any of these people. So there are 21 organization profiles on this page currently, which is really pretty awesome. It's very exciting to see not just individuals, but also like companies, small and large, volunteering to say that they support Backdrop and can build a Backdrop website. There's also a huge chunk of people that are just supporters that are also on this page, but we don't have that number on here. Anyway, it's very exciting to have that page. for people to actually be able to create profiles for the companies that they support Backdrop. If you have a company and or you're just an individual contractor and you would like to say that you're available for hire to do Backdrop services, then you can create one of these profiles just by logging into the backdropcms.org website. You don't need any special permissions to do so. Just create an account, log in, and then you can visit. I think that the toolbar will show up, and you can go up to Content, Add Content, Organization Profile, and add your company or yourself as an available contractor or service provider. That's great. Speaking of user accounts, there are 250 total user accounts that have been created on backdropcms.org. 5 new users have been created since the last meeting, or 5 new users have joined, I should say, since the last meeting. That does it for community growth. Lots of exciting things happening, as always. Next item on the agenda is infrastructure. Infrastructure are various things around the Backdrop project that aren't the software itself. And the first item on that agenda here is a testing infrastructure update. We deployed, or we have enabled a second testing suite service on the Backdrop CMS code base. So whenever you file a pull request against Backdrop, you'll notice that you get a whole flurry of actions that respond to your pull request. A live sandbox gets built, and then tests get fired off in 3 different ways. So we currently are running both Travis CI and a new service that Gore has set up called Zen CI. So your tests, right now when you file a pull request, your tests get run against PHP 4 different times, 2 on PHP 5.3 and 2 on PHP 7, once on Zen CI and once on Travis. So we've got a lot of redundancy happening, but what we're doing is we're trying out Zen CI and making sure that it's functioning properly, and in the meantime we're leaving Travis CI open as well. We do end up with random failures every now and then, which we are also working to resolve. There's an issue for that, issue 1478, are random failures that we're experiencing. And so it can be a little frustrating if you file a pull request and the tests are run 4 times, and then one of the 4 times fails because you get 1 random fail out of the 4. And I really want to cease that frustration for everybody that's filing pull requests, but if it happens to you and you think that it's not legitimate, then you're probably correct. So don't worry about it if that happens, but if you can help fix the random failures, then that would be greatly appreciated as well. Let's see, Gore, are you interested in giving any updates on Zen CI and the progress there? I'm not sure that there's much to report, but you would know.
Oh, give me just a second. I have to move to another room.
Okay. In the meantime, maybe we can talk about Drush. And I'm not sure if there's any updates here either. Jeff, you've been taking the lead on maintaining Drush. Do you have any updates in the world of Drush and the commands for Backdrop?
Please use Drush.
Please use Drush.
Report your findings.
Yeah, actually, I've only just recently, I've gotten so used to not using it that it's kind of fallen out of my daily patterns, especially when using Backdrop. And it's also that we've improved a lot of the things, the UIs in Backdrop that I used to avoid because they were so cumbersome. And so now I've been using, like, the modules page is so much easier to use now that it has a search, that I use the UI instead of Drush. But I've started reintegrating it back into my patterns, and I've noticed that it works. It's great. We used it to run Drush UpDB recently, and totally worked. It was great. All right, Gore, you want to give us an update on Zen CI?
Yes, sure. So it's up and running at this point. We have PHP 7, PHP 5.3 tests. They're running constantly. I recently shifted infrastructure on another server with updated interface, so better timeline. And we have running live sandboxes as well, and I'm working on documentation to make to document all of this stuff and make somebody else also, if anything required to fix, or just at least understand how it works like. But so far, and I really like how pretty much that's it.
Cool. I think you were breaking up a little bit there, Gore, but I think we got the main gist of it. I was also excited to see. I mean, this is kind of peripheral, but excited to see the documentation you've been working on describes the fact that you can set up your own test runner boxes. So in the event that someone else is using your service, or actually even Backdrop, if we decide that we want like really crazy fast hardware to run our own tests on, that we can set up our own test boxes and have XenCI run on those test boxes instead of the ones that that XenCI is providing using Google Compute Engine. I just think that's really cool.
Yeah, that's not locked in with even for QI or live sandboxes server. You're not locked with a testing environment. You just let know XenCI that I want to run test on that server, and it will do for you and just store information about tests. Same with live sandboxes, or even if you are working on some project where you need a continuous integration, you can just hook to do for you all the deployment, pretty much.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, that's great. Let's see. So I think that covers it for testing. Lots of exciting things happening. Drush, thanks, Jeff, for that summary. And now let's talk about backdropcms.org. We did a whole bunch of talking about design updates in the last meeting, which I know there were some problems with it not being published, but if you'd like to go back and watch the video, we did a great summary of the showcase site as well as some improvements to logging in. So a lot of great design improvements were talked about in the last meeting, the one before this. But for the rest of backdropcms.org, Jen, do you want to take the lead?
Sure. So we just talked about Showcase. I did want to mention one thing. We are going to need some help actually building that out. I know we've had a bunch of people offer. We need a content type created. We need a layout created, which might be a little bit complicated based on the designs we got, but it's going to be beautiful. And then we have designs for the landing page coming soon. So we don't have those yet, but we can start on the node, the content type, and getting that layout done. So if anybody wants to do that, we could definitely use help. I'm planning today on getting backdropcms.org updated to the latest version of Backdrop. So if somebody else wanted to start after that to grab a copy of the code base and do whatever was needed in terms of layouts and or content types, or just doing it on the live site. I guess since we're not using it, we could do it live. That would be great. So if anybody wants to help, let us know. Jack, I will accept your offer after July 15th, but we'll see hopefully if somebody else can get in there before that. But yeah, okay. And then other things we've got going on, we have a single sign-on solution that Gore's been working on that is ready for review. I want to throw that solution onto the newest version of Backdrop after I get it updated today and see how that goes. I started on it last week, but I didn't get it done. Hopefully we'll get that done today. And I'd love to get that included with the next round of changes too. So I'll try and throw some feedback on there if it's not ready to go. Otherwise, we'll just kind of put it up, see how it goes. We also are starting on a whole bunch of new documentation that's coming out this week. I know Andy and Gregory and Doc Wilma and a whole bunch of people, Ram72, I think, are also collaborating on getting all of our documentation in order, which is fantastic. So thank you to all you guys working on that. I know we have an open issue right now about alternate places to maybe manage documentation, but let me know if there's any blockers on backdropcms.org to get any of that content up. I think you guys should have all the access you need, but if not, especially after the update today, there's a core patch I've got to reapply that might break access, so definitely let me know if that happens. And then, yeah, we'll try and figure out how to get that all organized and up as fast as possible so that hopefully anyone needing documentation can find it. And thank you guys so much for working on all of that. Speaking of documentation, we're also trying to figure out how to set up some kind of a forum system. We've been using various other external forum-like places. For example, Reddit is where we've been driving most of the people who've been working on forum stuff lately, and we're trying to figure out if maybe it would not be better to build a forum on backdropcms.org. And there are a bunch of different technical solutions we can use to do that. So after I get the site updated today, I'm going to do a little compare-contrast to various different forum options. I know we've already got a couple of examples of forum brain or brain forum or something up there. We're going to do maybe some forum module comparisons, advanced forum, and just a new content type called forum, and see what are the pros and cons of each and try and figure out whether one of them is a clear winner. And if not, taking the things that we like about the ones we like and putting them all together and creating a new forum module for Backdrop at the end. So I think that's kind of where the focus is going to be here in the near future, is trying to figure out what we should do about a forum. And then we also have a bunch of stuff that's currently on the Backdrop website that needs improvement. And again, we need volunteers, so anybody who wants to work on backdropcms.org, let us know. And that includes getting usage statistics made visible on each project page, getting the modules, themes, and layouts pages completed. We have new designs that need to be implemented and a bunch of missing features that need to be added. Getting the blog news announcement section cleaned up. There's a couple of follow-up issues on making sure that our design works, as well as making sure that we have all of the added bells and whistles we want. Same thing is true for events listing and service listing. We've got a couple of additional features we want to add, like location search or a way to filter down the list of available providers by the types of work they do, like e-commerce. So getting all of those changes in would be really great too. Some of them are just setting up views or adding fields, and some of them are more complicated and require new designs and new layouts and stuff like that. So all of those have issues in the backdropcms.org queue if anyone's curious and wants to get involved. That queue is under the Backdrop Ops group on GitHub. So with that, I want to turn meeting back over to Nate for progress updates on Backdrop CMS, the project itself.
So Backdrop 1.4 came out May 15th, as you all know. And we are regularly just making bug fix releases. We're currently on version 1.4.2, which is quite stable. If you haven't upgraded to 1.4 yet, you can. We have a high confidence in the current release. The next bug fix release will be 1.4.3. There's a number of issues that have been fixed already, but we don't have a scheduled release date yet. Just as needed, when we accumulate enough fixes, we'll make another release. You can see the items that are currently queued for that release by checking the 1.4.3 milestone on GitHub. If you have a bug or an issue that you think is trivial, or you filed a pull request, something that you think should be in the next release, you can also tag your issue or anybody's issue actually into that release if you want it to get extra attention. So the next minor release is version 1.5, which will come out September 15th. We're calling it the editorial experience release, with a focus on the editorial experience and the tools around content creation. The first item on the list here, we've got reference module. Reference module We have ports of node reference and user reference modules in the contrib repository, but we would like to have a definitive one tool, one reference module to rule them all sort of thing. And it's such a frequently used tool that we would like to make sure it's included in core. And so to further that end, we've got some work on a new module called reference module that is issue 1301 in the Backdrop issue queue that Mike McCaffrey has started building out. He also moved it this past week to the Backdrop contrib repository, so you can also get it from github.com/backdrop-contrib/reference. And what we've done is moved it to that public repository so we can get more collaboration from more people at the same time. I think that if you want to collaborate on that with Mike, then either file an issue in the references issue queue, reference issue queue, or post in a comment to issue 1301. I do think even though it's in the contrib repository, now anybody that is in the contrib group can push to it. We still need to kind of coordinate who should be doing pushes and what sort of changes you should be doing. In the meantime, you can just file pull requests, and that way that'll go through a nice review process. And I'll probably start checking in on the pull request queue for the reference module as well, because I'd like to see that move forward as much as anybody. I'm sure Mike also. I can't speak for him to actually volunteer that he will be reviewing pull requests, but I'm sure he would appreciate additional help. Okay, let's see. So reference module, that's coming along, and it's great to see that moved into the contrib group so we can collaborate. The new front-end theme in core is called Basis. Wes has been working on it. It almost got into the last release, but is slipped into this one. Wes, do you want to have or say any updates that you've got on the Basis theme?
No, nothing on that particularly. I'm focused more on I made a meta issue for the first experience you get when you start using Backdrop, and so I'm working on things that I think make a big impact on that. So color module somehow color settings for Basis, responsive menu in core, and then I also want to start working on creating some cool components, like a hero component and a card component, and those kind of like fancy things that people don't necessarily know how to make but want, which may end up just being contrib until we get the block, fieldable blocks or whatever kind of sorted out. But it'd be good to just have. So, and it seems very easy to make. So I am focusing on that stuff.
Awesome.
And then waiting for any review or bugs that come along for Basis. So go ahead and people use Basis and let me know if it's not all it's cracked up to be.
Yeah, Basis really is ready for review, and I know I'm planning on reviewing it soon. It's issue 1361 because we could put it in core, we think, as it is right now, but more reviews would be very much appreciated. I'm going to take a look at it, but other people, please also take a look at it and provide some feedback. Because right now it's just been sitting there kind of just ready whenever. That issue is 1361 for anybody looking to check in on it. Let's see, and you also mentioned update for color module, which is issue 1905. And a theme settings revamp, which is issue 1949. Okay, let's see here. Next item on the list, kind of related actually to the out-of-box experience that you're talking about. This issue is kind of both straightforward initially and could just also turn into an endless rabbit hole, and that's issue 1042, which is adding a home page layout. So when you install Backdrop for the first time, we should have a front page that is a layout so that you can easily customize it, because right now the default front page is just the river of news. And if you want to modify the way that river of news looks, it's a tricky thing for new people to figure out. They need to override the node/node path. They need to know that the /node path existed. It's hard to customize, to move stuff around. So to solve all those problems, we'd like to make it so that there's a homepage layout at like /front or /home that people can customize and then move the blocks around, because it's already there and made for them, and it's set to be the homepage and all of those things. So the basics for that issue are really straightforward, that we just make a path and we put a listing of content on it. But then actually deciding how far we want to take that homepage layout and what we want to put on it, things start getting a little bit more complicated. Looks like the ability to add a hero or an image slider or a featured image or something like that up at the top of the page is split out into a separate issue, issue 1152. So all of those really important things, also really great for the out-of-box experience and differentiate Backdrop Rails substantially, because we'd love it for when people install Backdrop for them to go, oh, there's stuff here and I can change it and it looks good. You know, all of these things that are difficult with Drupal sites today, and honestly Backdrop sites today, that when you install it, there's the paralysis of, well, now what do I do? and if we make more things out of the box for people to modify, then that gives them more things to do and get more comfortable with the system. All right, the next item, improving the rich text editor. This is a big meta issue at issue 1087, that there's a bunch of items that we would like to improve in the rich text editor. In the last release, we did update CKEditor to the very latest version. So we would like to start incorporating some of the new abilities that were implemented as features in that new version, but they haven't been integrated yet into Backdrop. And so some cool things like they added copy-paste support and drag and drop to like upload images, and it would be fantastic to get those things incorporated, because we already have the ability to make inline images and do all these things, but it would be great to really make it so that it behaved more the way people expect it. Like people expect copy and paste, and it would be great to have that work for images. It looks here, Jen, are you the one that typed the word blocked into this next item? Whoever did that in the agenda, could you
That's me.
elaborate?
Yeah. So I updated the ticket. I'm trying to use layout pre-save. I can't remember. It was a while ago that I worked on it. But I don't see anything that the filter parse file FIDs function wants. So I'm stuck.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, yeah, this is a bug at issue 1373 that if you upload an image into something that is not an entity, most notably a custom block, that the images aren't marked as permanent ever. And so it can be super frustrating because you upload an image and then 6 hours later the image is deleted, which is a terrible, terrible bug. Okay, I'll take another look at that, Jeff. Thanks for bringing it up. I think that issue is worth mentioning every week because we've had that bug since the beginning and it hasn't been fixed. So I think giving it extra attention is a good idea. Okay, there's also a number of other issues that are tagged for the 1.5 release, and you can get a whole list of those by checking out the 1.5 milestone on GitHub. We also have a big chunk of tickets that are UX related or DX related, user experience and developer experience related, and you can find those tickets or file tickets under those categories by including square brackets UX or square brackets DX at the front of the title in the issue. All right, news and announcements is the next section on the agenda. we have an issue for an official blog schedule at issue 158 in the backdropcms.org issue queue. The next item here that hopefully this will happen, we've got a blog post that apparently I'm responsible for to write up some information about our new core committers, or all of our core committers, which includes Jeff and Doc Wilmot. And so we're excited about having multiple committers to Backdrop, and we'd like to let other people know that there are lots of people that they can count on for merging their changes into Backdrop Core. If you have an idea for a blog post, you can also post to that issue 158. And if you're interested in writing a blog post, that would be even more awesome. And you can write one, you can email it to us, or you can just create a node on backdropcms.org and let us know that you've written one, and then we'll schedule it. And that would be most appreciated. Newsletter schedule. I think we're stuck on our newsletters. We haven't even sent out a newsletter saying 1.4 is out, which is kind of embarrassing.
That's because we're waiting for the next release of Backdrop so that we can push it to Pantheon, because we don't want to tell people to update if they can't update yet.
Right. Yeah. And we're not actually waiting on the next release of Backdrop. We just need to push out the current release of Backdrop to Pantheon.
Okay. Maybe we should do that if there's nothing that's so horribly broken that we need to roll out a new release. Let's just do that and then send the newsletter.
Right. I totally agree. Let's see. There's also a number of things related to marketing that you can find under the backdropcms.org issue queue. There's a tag for audience-marketing, and that will get you a list of all of the things that we need marketing help on, which is substantial. Let's see. Mike posted a question here into the agenda. Can we do an outreach and web content meeting next week at 12 p.m. Thursday? So kind of like a marketing meeting that parallels the design meeting, that we would talk just about outreach and marketing next week before the normal weekly meeting. And Jen says, that's a great idea.
So I think we should definitely schedule a meeting for next Thursday about marketing and outreach, and then maybe we should figure out if that's something we should do every 2 weeks. Like, we should have a design meeting 1 week, and then the next week we can do marketing. And I think that way we could get like a little team of marketing people together to figure out what it is we need and make it happen, and we can have updates on that the same way that we have updates on design work and development work. But maybe we should have the first meeting and see see how that goes, and then we can decide if we need to do it every 2 weeks.
Sorry. Mike added in the agenda, but let's not call it marketing. So we can call it outreach or content.
I like outreach.
Outreach and, I don't know, information. I don't know, something. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, so question: if we don't want to call it out marketing, should we change our other terminology? Like in the issue queue, we have a tag that's like audience marketing. Should we change that to like audience outreach? Or like, do we want to have a like rule against not calling things marketing, or just for the meeting? Nobody has any strong feelings. Okay, yeah, we'll figure it out at the outreach meeting.
Yeah, it's funny because marketing is such a double-edged thing that a lot of people hate marketing just on principle, but it's also the best term in terms of familiarity for people that are marketers to know that that's what, they should be collaborating on. So
I'll leave it for now. We'll figure it out in the marketing meeting. Meeting.
Exactly, yeah. Okay, let's see. So that's it for the general agenda. We've got more things. Today is Thursday, which is Backdrop Day, which means we're going to be reviewing pull requests, or looking potentially at the basis theme, or taking a look at WYSIWYG issues. We should be doing all of these things today, and we will. You can join us. Unfortunately, Gitter has been a little bit on the fritz today, but you can join us on Gitter, gitter.im/backdrop/backdrop-issues. And you can also find the probably most importantly, the Backdrop issue queue at github.com/backdrop, and that's where we do the bulk of our collaboration and communication. We have an IRC channel on Freenode, freenode.net/backdrop, and a Reddit channel for water cooler type discussions, reddit.com/r/backdrop. Upcoming events, there's a list of events available from backdropcms.org/events. No super big items. I guess Twin Cities Drupal Camp is kind of exciting. Actually, really exciting, because we have a whole day training at Twin Cities Drupal Camp, which is coming up June 23rd, and we also have a Backdrop presentation. So if you're in the area and would like to catch up on Backdrop, the full day training, even if you're not interested, like you already consider yourself a pro in like Drupal development and Backdrop ain't no thing to you, it still might be fun to come by just to pick up some insights and technical differences and to get the full scoop on Backdrop, because it's really, I mean, it is a training, but it's also more just like a whole day seminar just on Backdrop and the way it's used, and it's a great way to also pick the brains of some Backdrop contributors. Books, beginning Backdrop CMS will be out June 22nd, which is super exciting. The first full-length Backdrop book brought to you by Todd Tomlinson, the author, and A-Press, the publisher. That does it for our agenda. Does anyone have anything that they would like to bring up, or things that we should add to the agenda for future meetings?
Yeah, I got something. Is my mic on? Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right, I see now. Yeah. Just something. Let me, without breaking any client confidentiality, I just felt I had to share with the Backdrop community. I was working on a project for a large client recently, and the issue of upgrading from Drupal 7 to Drupal 8 was very heavily in the air, and in particular, the sort of Damocles that was hanging over everybody was, according to the Drupal 8 roadmap, the suspending of support for Drupal 7, like within our development time frame, within, I think it was in 2018. So I want to just kind of throw that in, and sort of the marketing outreach sense as being, is something that we've talked about for years of keeping the existing classic code base alive and growing, and suddenly I was having Drupal 7 projects being killed because support is ending, and I just wanted to throw that out to everybody as sort of food for thought as to how we can position, market, explain, justify, our status as a lifeboat for decades worth of code base is now becoming pretty real. That's it. That's the thing I just want to throw out there.
Yeah, that's actually really cool. Is there a link or a URL that has this being discussed? Because I do know that came up that they'd been considering dropping support for Drupal 7 before Drupal 9 came out, so shifting the current like we always maintain the current version and the one before, and I'd heard about that possibly happening, but I hadn't actually read it yet.
Yeah, I don't know. It sort of caught me by surprise, really, because I was sort of pushing to keep things and not rushing into what I feel like is still rushing into Drupal 8 at this point. It still feels like not quite ready for prime time. And I saw a calendar. I mean, I don't actually know what the source of it was, but the Drupal project has followed our lead apparently for scheduled releases, and so what we've gotten used to, the 7-year release cycle for Drupal 8. I was opining that Drupal 7 is going to be around for a long time. There's no need to worry about it going away anytime soon, and was pushed back against that. So that made me think, all right, then if that happens, backdrop. Anyway.
Yeah, actually, here I found some links. It didn't take very much effort. I just typed in Drupal 7 end of life, and there's 2 active discussions going on about that. And so I haven't read through these yet, but it looks like, I mean, I know I'd heard that, and I know that it's actively being discussed because Drupal 8 likely will stick around at. They have no work has started on Drupal 9 yet. I mean, there isn't a branch for it at least, and so it's likely that Drupal 8 will be around for like, who knows, like maybe even like a decade or something like that. And I think the idea of supporting Drupal 7 for that long isn't appealing to people. So it's not. Yeah, I don't know. Let's look into it because you're right. It is another possible opening for Backdrop, that it is a lifeline to that entire code base.
Yeah, well, I mean, just to the extent that we can make the claim of okay, here's where your Drupal 7 work can live after Drupal 7 is no longer supported. Like that there will be security updates into the future. That if you've got something like at this point within the Drupal project, the choice is either master dependency injection or live with an insecure code base 18 months out, and neither of those are tenable prospects for a lot of clients. Right.
And obviously one of the things that we like to pitch and like to help is that if you write your code against Drupal 7, porting it to Backdrop is straightforward and could be even called trivial. And so I think that's totally true today. That's like if people are still writing a lot of Drupal 7 code, and tons of people are, that's not just going to be sunk cost. That it's not just going to be the end of that code once you need to move your site to the next version, as long as you're moving the next version to Backdrop at least.
Backdrop actually came up in the discussion, and something that was mentioned was that it's hard, that it's not trivial to port modules to Backdrop, and I was like, yes, it is. You add one line to the info file, and it typically just works. So I don't know. Maybe that might be some just if that's the sort of marketing message that's getting out there. Maybe it might make sense to have that as like a checkbox option in Backdrop somewhere. Like, okay, not really recommended, but click this checkbox to load Drupal 7 modules just raw and see what happens. I mean, I don't know if that's crazy or desirable. Or,
yeah. Anyway, I think both sides are actually valid. Like, it really depends on the complexity of the module, how trivial it is. Like Wes just said, who wants to try that on organic groups? And yeah, it's that trivial.
Well, I'll ratio. Which is going to be quicker, porting organic groups to Backdrop or to Drupal 8?
Well,
go.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's good for that discussion. I think it's great to bring. Anybody else have anything else you'd like to add?
I put a couple possible agenda items for the non-marketing meeting. You wanna, if anybody seconds those, I guess we could put them on the agenda for the whatever that meeting's gonna be called.
Oh yeah, these are great. Yeah, and actually, you know what I'd like to see on this list as well, like outreach to current developers, like how we can collect more developers, which I know seems like that's all that we ever care about, and it's what we already have the most of, but but
Yeah.
more is always better.
Yeah, I second that. More eyes and more contributors is only good for the whole community, I think.
Yeah.
If somebody's stuck on like a small like Git piece or something, if we can be available for some hour to like help them get past that blocking point, could be good.
Yeah. I wonder like yeah, like GitHub training hour or something like that. You know, something that would get people interested because they could use help learning GitHub, and we could just introduce them to Backdrop through that. It sounds like a yeah, a real interesting avenue there. Huh. Great idea. Okay. Well, if there's nothing else, let's call it a meeting. We've been on for quite a while now. We're running up against the end of the hour. So thank you everybody for joining. Thanks everybody for watching. As always, we really appreciate it. And we will talk to you guys again next week. All right.
Thanks
Bye,
for
guys.
coming, everyone.